Hey guys, it's Crystal. I'm here with another video for you guys. So today I wanted to talk about my labor and delivery stories for both of my girls, just because the first one kind of plays into the second one. My first daughter was born two years ago, and everything was going absolutely fine. Test results were good, glucose was good, no problems whatsoever. Now, when we reached 32 weeks, I'm going to say actually 31 weeks, because my husband and I had went on a little trip with some friends, and I kind of started noticing that I was getting contractions and stuff. So I pretty much just took it easy while we were, out and stuff, and everything was fine. I didn't have any. It was Braxton Hicks contractions. It wasn't the major ones yet. But after we came back Sunday evening, I noticed that I was having them more often. And I used to go into work really, really early in the morning, like either 4 in the morning or 5 in the morning, depending on what shift I was doing. So on the way over to my job early in the morning, I noticed my daughter kicked me really, really hard, and my contractions were just coming on constantly, like 6 every 30 minutes. And so, being that it was my first pregnancy, of course, that just set off an alarm or instinct that, okay, I think I need to call the on-call nurse. Since it was so early in the morning, I had to call on-call nurse. So sure enough, I call and I tell her, what's going on and how many contractions I'm getting per minute and all that stuff. And she tells me, well, you know what, go ahead and go into the hospital and go get monitored and checked to see what's going on. So I go in, and the first thing they tell me is that I was dehydrated. I was really bad about drinking water during my first pregnancy. Really, really bad about it. So I was dehydrated. They put an IV. They gave me some medicine, which got me really, really sick. And to stop the contractions, I think, or to help with minimize it or whatever. I don't remember what it was called, but it got me really sick. So after that, my husband comes or whatever and makes sure I'm okay, and the doctor or the nurses tell me that they're going to go ahead and just keep me there until my doctor would come in. She doesn't go in to the hospital until like 8 o'clock. So I was like, okay. So my husband went ahead and went home, or went back to work, and I just told him I would keep him posted if something were to happen. So anyways, they come and check me, and I'm at 2 centimeters dilated. And my contractions still keep coming and coming and coming. Well, my doctor decides that we're going to go ahead and put me on magnesium, which is supposed to stop with labor, because basically I was going into preterm labor at 32 weeks. So they put me on magnesium, which was horrible. Yes, baby. Later. Okay. So they put me on magnesium, which was really horrible. You feel hot. It's a miserable drug to get to stop labor. Hopefully if you're watching this and you're pregnant, you don't go into preterm labor and go through that, because it's horrible. But of course, it's for the safety of your baby. That way they don't come early. So I would do anything for my girls, and even though it was horrible, I'd do it again. Later today, okay? So they give me magnesium, they give me more fluids, keep me hydrated and everything. With magnesium, they have to check your blood to make sure you don't get mag toxic, like overdosage. So they're basically poking me every few hours to check my blood. And I did get MAC toxic at one point. Um, so they lowered my dosage and stuff, but with the magnesium and everything, it worked and it stopped my labor. But I ended up being in the hospital for a whole week to make sure that my first daughter wasn't going to come early. We just didn't want to end up in the NICU and have her, be a preemie. So I'm in there for a whole week. Labor stopped. Everything's good. And my doctor went ahead and discharged me. And she told me that I have to be on bed rest for 5 weeks until we're ready to deliver. So basically, I was on bed rest for 5 weeks, which was horrible too. After the first week, you kind of go a little crazy. You're just laying down, being stuck in bed all day, and then sometimes you have nothing to do. So, sorry, drinking coffee. So during that time, I'm going and to be every week I'm starting to go to the doctor and also to get sonograms done and to just keep me monitored. Once you're towards the end of your pregnancy, you get hooked up onto the monitors to make sure you're doing okay and stuff. So I was basically doing that for the whole 5 weeks, and then finally my doctor told me that they were going to induce me at 38 weeks. So the day of induction, I went into the hospital at 4 in the morning to get started, IVs and all that stuff, taking blood. And we start Pitocin at 8 o'clock, and contractions start coming on. And then my doctor comes in and tells me she's going to break my water. So we had to go ahead and do that, and that's when the real contractions started coming in, and I wanted to see how it was going to feel and if I could handle it and go through it without an epidural. But unfortunately, I couldn't handle the pain. It was just too much to bear. So I went ahead and asked for the epidural. Got it. Once I got it, everything seemed okay. By 11 o'clock, I was pretty much fully dilated. It happened really fast. Dilated, so they went ahead and called the doctor back in, and we delivered my daughter at 11:59, and everything went pretty smoothly. I still felt everything. I don't think I had a very good epidural, or I didn't push the button, that much, because you can control how much dosage you want or whatever. And me not knowing how things were really going to go, since it was my first child, I didn't push the button too much. So I still felt everything pretty much, except for the contraction part. But other than that, everything went smoothly. I did get a episiotomy done. And after everything was done, I did feel a lot of pain after giving birth. It was pretty painful. But she was a healthy baby girl. Nothing was wrong with her. She ended up being 5 pounds, 12 ounces, 19 inches long. They were afraid she was going to be a premature baby because she's small, and I'm a rather small person to begin with too. So it kind of didn't surprise me that she came out, petite and small. But they thought she was going to be at least 4 pounds. But no, she ended up being 5 pounds, and she didn't have to stay in the NICU or anything. So with my first pregnancy, this is what I've been saying. I had an easy pregnancy, but the labor part sucked because I felt everything still. But great pregnancy. Now, second baby, she is a month and like 2 or 3 weeks already. With her, my pregnancy was horrible. always sick, always in pain somewhere. um, it was a really bad pregnancy. I think I couldn't sleep very well either. Would work, couldn't sleep that much. I mean, you don't sleep that much towards the end, anyways. But I think this time around it was way worse. So, but her labor was totally different. Being that I had almost had preterm labor with my doctor was keeping a close eye on me. We did, all the genetic testing, and everything was coming out normal. Blood work was coming out normal. Glucose and all that stuff was normal again. She did start sending me to a separate doctor for, they call it cervix ligation, I think, or elongation screening, something like that. And basically, it's just measuring my cervix to make sure that it's not shrinking early. And that way I don't go into preterm labor. So we were doing that at, I think, 20 weeks is when we started doing that. And that stopped until about 32 weeks. But everything was looking normal every single time I would go in. They were concerned about her growth. She was kind of measuring in the small side. I wasn't too worried about it, again, because my first daughter was a small baby to begin with, and again, I'm a small person, and I was a small baby too, so it didn't surprise me that she was measuring small as well. So everything was going good. Sorry about the glare. Was going good with her as well. We hit the 32 mark, no complications, no problems. However, hit 35 weeks, and we pretty much went through the same thing with my first daughter, except I did not have to go on magnesium. Thank goodness. Being that she was already 35 weeks, her lungs were pretty much developed, so they weren't too concerned about her being a premature baby, and she probably wouldn't have to stay in the NICU too long if she were to deliver. So, again, ended up in the hospital because I had a bunch of Braxton Hicks contractions one day. I made sure that I was drinking enough water. That was one thing that I did make sure the second time around, that I had plenty of water. So they knew I wasn't dehydrated. I was definitely contracting. My contractions did get stronger. And I thought I was going to deliver her at 35 weeks. My contractions ended up stopping. I did dilate to about a 3 this time around and stopped there. Since everything pretty much stopped again, doctor decided to send me home. So I only stayed there at the hospital for two days instead of a whole week like last time. And I was only put on bed rest for 3 weeks, which wasn't as bad. However, being that I had my 2-year-old, I had to get some help and just take it easy pretty much. So the plan was also to induce either at 38 weeks or 39 weeks. I made it to 38 weeks with no problems. My doctor, however, still wanted to wait until 39 weeks to make sure that my daughter was at a good size, because again, they were still concerned about her being small. So we had already booked the hospital for when we were going to do it. It was going to be on a Thursday. Actually a Friday. We were going to go in Thursday evening to start some antibiotics, and then start induction on Friday. Well, that didn't really go as planned. Thursday morning, I get up to go to the restroom like I always do in the morning. My husband was already getting ready for work. Go back to bed. My daughter did a weird movement. It felt funny. And all of a sudden, I felt my water break. And so I went to the restroom to make sure that it was actual a water break and I wasn't just, something else was wrong or whatever to make sure everything was good, no bleeding and stuff. So I noticed, yeah, my water did break, and I told my husband, I don't think you're gonna have to go to work because I'm pretty much my water just broke. So which I was so excited that my water broke because I wanted to experience how a natural birth or natural labor is supposed to go and not, get induced. So I was happy that it did happen and that my husband was there. So my water breaks at 6 in the morning. Called the on-call nurse because I knew the doctor's office wasn't open yet. Luckily, they were able to get a hold of my actual doctor, and she, asked me what was going on, and I told her I think my water broke because I just keep leaking fluid. And so she tells me, get to the hospital as soon as you can because things are going to happen fast. I guess, too, because I was already at 3 centimeters dilated. So I told my husband, okay, let's get our stuff together and let's get my daughter dressed and head to the hospital. So we leave, and being the time that we were leaving, traffic was horrible. And the only thing I could think was, oh my gosh, I'm going to have this baby in my car because traffic was so bad. And my husband's just like, relax, calm down, everything's going to be okay, we're going to make it. And so we do end up making it to the hospital. Still water breaking everywhere. It was a mess. As soon as I would get up, just more fluid kept coming and coming and stuff. But we got checked and they started to do IVs, blood work, and they were working really fast because they knew it was my second baby and they knew it was going to happen fast. And since my water had already broken, we were just working super, super fast because we didn't know how dilated I was yet. And so we went ahead and started things fast, went backwards, little things backwards. We started signing paperwork and stuff, and the nurse finally, checked me once we got everything out of the way. I was measuring at a 7, and so after I got measured and got a few antibiotics in me, my contractions were getting a little stronger, and they finally said, okay, since you got antibiotics and we know how far along you are now in terms of labor, we can go ahead and get an epidural started. So we did that. Everything went well. I felt like my epidural was pretty fast working, and close to like 10:30 or so, they checked me again, and I was already fully dilated. My daughter was already sitting low prior to me going into the hospital. So they call the doctor, and she comes in, and we start pushing, and I think by the third push, she was out, and I didn't feel nothing. It was a completely, totally different experience from the first one. Labor was absolutely easy. I mean, it was like 1, 2, 3, she's out, and no pain this time. And she was 6 pounds, 12 ounces, and 19 inches long. So she was just a pound bigger than my first daughter, which was great since they were so worried about how big she was going to be. And she was fine. She was absolutely wonderful. No complications whatsoever. And after giving birth, I was fine. I was able to get up right away. I wasn't in that much pain like the first time. I did get a small episiotomy, but it wasn't as bad as the first time I had my daughter. So I only got a couple of stitches and that was it. So it was like a smooth labor. Not so good pregnancy, awesome labor and delivery. Really, really, really fast. My first one was fast, but this one was absolutely fast and easy. So yeah, that's basically it for my 2 labor and delivery stories. Both of my girls are doing wonderful. One's already 2 years old and one's a month old in a few weeks, and they're doing absolutely great. Sucks that I go into preterm labor with each pregnancy, but I guess being the size that I am, I guess my body just wants to have these babies early, and I don't know if I'm gonna have another one later in the future. Not anytime soon, that's for sure. Um, we're probably gonna have to go through the same thing, and hopefully, I don't go into preterm labor again. So yeah, that's it for my labor and delivery stories on both of my girls, and I hope y'all guys enjoyed it. Please like this video, and please check out my other videos. I have what's in my diaper bag um, for the hospital, and then what's in my hospital bag. Um, yeah, I hope y'all guys enjoyed my labor and delivery story, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.